Current temperature 52. It's good to have you with us as we get into the 9 o'clock hour right now here. The man who was found guilty of fatally shooting his child's mom in December of 2023, sentenced to 50 years in prison yesterday. Dwayne Moore, charged with first-degree murder after he shot his child's mother, Kayla, multiple times while she was picking up their 10-year-old son.
She got into a heated discussion with Moore about custody of their son. She was killed while he was in the other room. Moore was in the courtroom for just a moment before he asked the judge to waive his right to be present for his sentencing. While prosecutors say this is unusual, it does happen, and the judge granted it. Kayla's mom tells me this decision was for the best.
Again, that's Karina Vargas there of Como TV. Also want to mention light rail. What an exciting time here. Sound Transit's Marymore Village and downtown Redmond stations open today at noon, providing more than a launch pad for commuters heading toward Microsoft's campus, downtown Bellevue, and someday Seattle. Among all the destinations here with outdoor concerts at Marymore, think about that, which now produce traffic lineups and a struggle for parking spaces. It'll be easier to reach now as one of the many places here. Lots of shopping along the way, local restaurants, even a walk bike trail selection as well. All those destinations along that 4 to 6 minute trip from new stations to Redmond Technology Station at Microsoft headquarters should make the East Side 2 lines, now empty trains, more versatile. Checking on sports here for the weekend. We've got 6-3 final, game 1 against Toronto. The Mariners last night here, T-Mobile Park. First pitch tonight at 6:40. Sounders at Houston tonight, 5:30 first kick. Tomorrow we got Seattle Reign will host Houston here at 5 o'clock. Now let's check on traffic and weather for you here at 9:04.
Traffic on the 4s, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
We'll mark some good news on Highway 18 in Auburn. That earlier crash has been cleared at 167, and the delays have really evaporated with no major backups now. As you move eastbound on Highway 18 from I-5 over to 167, things are heading in much better shape than they were even 10 minutes ago. Northbound I-5, a little bit crowded through downtown, leaving I-90 heading north toward the downtown exits. Once you get past there and up toward the Ship Canal, though, you're in very good shape. Not seeing any problems on 520, but the exit ramps to the Montlake Boulevard exit are closed because of the road race that's going on there today. Those will stay closed till about 11:30 this morning. Don't forget the Ballard Bridge is shut down all weekend for road work. That'll be closed until early Monday morning, but should be back open in time for Monday morning's rush hour. And the Mukilteo Clinton ferry is still on one boat service until further notice, and Washington State Ferries is reporting a 2-hour delay at both ferry terminals right now. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Thank you for the help there, Brian. Now let's get to Shannon with some help on how to plan your Mother's Day weekend.
Well, hi there, and happy Mother's Day weekend to everybody. We'll have scattered showers rolling through from time to time, both Saturday, but especially for Mother's Day on Sunday. So if you have outdoor plans, might have to reconsider some of those in a few locations. Highs on Saturday backing off into the low to the mid-60s. On Sunday, further cooling will drop into the 50s, especially closer to the Canadian border. In the KOMO 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
Current temperature right now in Seattle, rather calm. We'll call it high clouds with a little bit filtered sunshine, and now 52 degrees. I'm Mark Christopher, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000.
The following program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Aging Options, how can we help?
It's time to know your options and master your future. My life, my plan, my way. LifePoint Law presents Aging Options with elder law attorney and life planning coach Rajiv Nagaich. Health, housing, finance, legal, and family. Know your options. Aging Options is not a law firm, but Rajiv is a lawyer. You should not reveal things you wish to keep confidential in this public setting. This program offers general advice. Having your questions answered does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Contact your attorney or other professional to discuss your unique needs before taking any action related to the subjects discussed in this program. Now, here is nationally recognized retirement planning authority and host of National Public Television program, Master Your Future, Rajiv
Good
Nagaich.
to have you with us this morning. Mark Christopher, producer here of Aging Options. You'll learn quick listening this hour. It's all about nothing against what you have planned for your retirement, things you've been working on, building up all the funding there in the 401k and trying to pay off your house. But it's what you're not being told. Listen for the hour and you'll see what we mean. Every week we go through various articles set up by our executive producer, Tony, and Rajiv shares these articles here and gives you a comment and then invites you to call in at 206-421-1000. For example, income distribution and retirement. You planned, you saved, you finally retired, so now what? How do you start taking advantage of all the retirement funds you set aside? How do you plan for taxes and all the hidden costs of retirement? Fortunately, we have a guest here today who's an expert who can guide us through the maze of income. Stand by. Also, estate planning mistakes. You can think your estate plan is all buttoned up and complete, but before you decide it's a done deal, better give a listen to this discussion about common mistakes people make when preparing their estate plans. And the rise of what's called gray divorce. Divorce rates in America actually on the decline overall, except for one group. You guessed it, seniors. So-called gray divorce rising at a rapid pace in America. And along with the pain and heartache, it can completely destroy a couple's retirement security. Also, we'll make some time, hopefully, for seniors and debt. A few things that can disrupt your retirement plan faster than out-of-control debt. Yet more and more seniors these days find themselves burdened with mortgage debt, car loans, credit card debt. The list goes on and on. I speak fast because the hour goes fast. Let me give you the phone number, 206-421-1000. Again, it's 206-421-1000. We have a guest because last week, if you heard, Rajiv Nagaich was headed back east. He's about to do a new program on public television nationwide, has to go back east to record it. So Saket Sengar is with us today here. And before we get started, this is your chance, my friend, which, by the way, it's tough to come into a studio. And I asked you before we started, you get nervous? And you said yes. You passed the audition of Mark Christopher. I still get nervous after 45 years, but we're anxious to have you here. Give us a rundown of what you're all about, your involvement with Aging Options and Rajiv, and you got a big smile because you're going to load us up, my friend.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you for having me again here. And I know Rajiv is out, so again, it's a big shoe to fill in. My name is again Saket Sengar. I'm a certified financial planner. By my education and by my skill, I help clients with their financial planning, investment planning, portfolio management. That's the holy grail of what I do for the clients. But my focus is helping clients through their retirement phase. So mostly I work with the people those who are either thinking about retirement or already in retirement and navigate through this retirement journey. Most of the financial planners, those who help, they are focused solely on financial piece of the retirement planning. But my advantage is that I work with Rajiv, who works on a much bigger piece of the retirement puzzle. And what I have found over years of working with him is retirement is just not about financial planning or investment planning. Retirement has like 5 pieces to it. One is once you are thinking of retirement, the very first thing you are thinking about health planning and then housing planning. Obviously, there will be financial issues that you need to tackle it and legal planning. And in all, your family is there, so we have to do some planning around family. So Rajiv calls it a life planning, and my part of the puzzle is just a financial piece. But I truly and honestly love how Rajiv approaches it, and that's the connection that I approach my clients with the planning, and I work with Rajiv and other professionals to help the clients with not only the financial piece of the whole planning, but the whole retirement planning.
So again, do you have like a percentage of all the clients you have? And think about this as you listen right now. Okay, you'd have to make an appointment with him. Okay, let's see where he can fit you in his schedule because a lot of people are busy. But no, it's right here. No appointment necessary. A phone is right there if you got a question anytime during the show to reach Saket and ask him here about any financial worries you might have at 206-421-1000. If you were to pick a percentage of your clients that come to you and you just look at them like, wow, they've got it all set, or no, we got some work to do. Let's get something better here so you understand and have more control. What percentage would you say you face with all your clients total that need help, that need guidance?
Well, the way the clients approach, the very first call that I get, let me talk about a call that I got yesterday, right? So The person is still working. She is in her 60s, upper 60s, and she's thinking about retiring. And the very first question, whenever you look for retirement planning, everyone starts with finance. So they are thinking, I have such X amount of money in my 401k, and I have done certain planning with my savings and other things, but I'm thinking of retirement. And as soon as I retire, I will no longer have any income coming in. So what should we do so that I know that I will be living a long in retirement, and I want to make sure that I have enough income? What kind of strategies that I need to look into so my portfolio or whatever the savings I have generates enough income to meet my monthly expenses, but I also want to make sure this income lasts for the rest of my life, because the big unknown factor is how long you are going to be living, which no one knows. So that's how the call starts coming in. Or sometimes the calls come in because they have, oh, I'm retiring, I have a pension, I don't know whether should I take a lump sum or should I take a monthly annuity for rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
So there are, another thing will be, oh, I'm retiring, I need to plan for my Social Security. I don't know, should I start now, should I wait? How do you answer those questions? So that's how this starts. And then I navigate those things, and I encourage them to look into a little bigger picture and then go from there.
And everybody's different.
You're correct.
Okay. That's why we have this show, Aging Options. All right. Saket is here. Financial questions. Let's hear from you. 206-421-1000. Again, that's 206-421-1000. We've also got some seminars, the free seminars about planning retirement with Rajiv coming here this month. I'll get those to you here in just a moment. You're going to learn a lot. Again, phone number 206-421-1000.
The buck doesn't stop here. Hi, this is Brian Calvert, letting you know that you can learn more by going to AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal. Visit AgingOptions.com for blogs, videos, and the Aging Options portal.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them, the tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
And as we learn about Aging Options here and get your questions going here in just moments, and the phone's ringing, traffic and weather along the way, never have to worry. 9:14.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Normal heavy traffic through downtown Seattle right now on I-5 northbound coming off of I-90 heading toward the downtown exits. You'll come off the gas a little bit, but nothing out of the ordinary, and it shouldn't take you too long to get through there. Southbound I-5 from the Ship Canal down toward I-90 running up to speed with no major problems as you head down toward the airport and through the South Center interchange. Everything's looking good on I-5 moving south of downtown Seattle. Not seeing any problems on I-90 or on 520 as you cross Lake Washington. A reminder, though, that the off-ramps from 520 in both directions to Montlake Boulevard are shut down until about 11:30 this morning because of the road race that's going on Montlake Boulevard, where they're going to run across the Montlake Bridge here in the next little while. Not seeing any problems on 405 north and southbound from one end to the other along the east side is running along problem-free and up to speed with no problems this morning. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Saturday's forecast is to be better of the two here. Look for some clearing at times today, otherwise a cloudy day, keeping temperatures right around 61 or so. Slight chance of showers tomorrow, a bit cooler, upper 50s to low 60s, and still cloudy. Current temperature right now, School. The phone number 206-421-1000. Rajiv's back east. He's recording a new program for public television, so we'll have more on that when it's learned here. We're going to get into estate planning mistakes here, as we have Saket Sengar sitting in here. It's all about financial background and knowledge that he has to share here. But look at that. See, he's already got a phone call here. So, Joel, I'm going to bring you on right now. Did you have a question for Saket here and some finances that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I get Social Security, and I wondered if he thinks Elon Musk is going to mess with that because
that's what you see of going on in the news. So I'm sure you're getting that question a lot right now.
You're correct. I get these questions a lot, but my answer to people is, first of all, stay calm. You don't need to. If you are already receiving Social Security, or if you are close to the age where you are about to start, or you're thinking about taking Social Security, in my humble opinion, I don't think so anything is going to happen to your Social Security. The way I tell that the people those who are in their 40s, the way the Social Security is calculated, they may have to wait a little longer. The rules how you are eligible to get the Social Security, right now your full retirement age is usually 67. For the person who is in the 40, that the retirement age could be a little bit at age 70 you will be eligible. Or the way it's calculated, the amount will be lesser for people those who are younger. But if you're already receiving Social Security, or you're about to receive Social Security, you should not panic. You should not worry. I think you will be able to get the benefits. The only one thing is there is something called COLA, the inflation factor that people get it. Sometimes the government does it that you are not getting the COLA factor each and every year. So those things to have to be looked into it. But in my opinion, if you are receiving Social Security or about to, I think you are good. You should not worry too much into that thing, whatever the news that you are watching or listening to.
See, and there's an example too. Joel, thanks for the phone call on that. That's one simple call right there. How many people thought that with everything they watch on the news? And Lord knows we have news sources every radio, TV, streaming device, and everybody has their favorite, and it brings up discussion. With that, Saket, do we go into estate planning mistakes here? I've heard Rajiv say 100 times, many of us have, that having all your documents in order doesn't mean your estate plan is complete. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. So I read the article, and this is a good article for who has not done any estate planning. And this article talks about usually what are the mistakes people think. I mean, legal planning is something, hey, who wants to go to the lawyer and get all these things? Means I want to enjoy my life. There are already other priorities. So one of the biggest reason of not doing estate planning is procrastination. And that's the number one I hear from everyone. When I meet the client, hey, have you done your legal planning? Or if you have done your estate planning, most of the people will say, no, I may have done something online or something, but most of the people don't have it. And so I totally agree with this article up here that the reasons they have listed: procrastination, not seeking the right legal advice, or even if you have done something that you have not communicated with your family members, that who will be acting on their behalf when the time comes in. And there are other things that they are listed. But when I am working with the clients, and not only the people who have done the legal planning or estate planning, the two biggest mistakes that I see, one is your financial planning and your legal planning are not coordinated. What do I mean by that? Means if people who have done the legal planning, you have listed certain ways how your life needs to be conducted, who will be managing your finances, who will be getting your receiving your assets upon your passing. But when you take a look at their financial document, the beneficiaries listed in those documents are totally different. So sometimes one of the biggest mistake I see is your financial planning and legal planning are not coordinated. So you want to make sure that your beneficiaries and the wishes that you have listed in the legal planning are coordinated with the financial assets that you have, whether it's a 401k, IRA, life insurance policies, or any other things that you have it. The other big mistake that I do, people who have much larger estate, do some sort of a trust planning, whether it's a revocable living trust or irrevocable living trust, depending on which kind of a trust planning you have done it. Then they will go to a big law office or an attorney. They will spend thousands of dollars, spend a lot of time, energy, and create this trust, hoping that when they pass away, this trust will help their family avoid probate. That's the biggest thing people do to get the trust planning. But one of the biggest mistake I see when I deal with these large estate is they never take time to fund the trust. So what do I mean by funding the trust? Means once you're complete, you execute or you sign your trust document, the law firm will give you the nice looking binder, and there will be instructions how to fund the trust. It's not the law firm's job to fund the trust. Now it's your job to make sure, take that trust and go to all your financial institutions wherever you're holding your assets, whether it's a 401k or IRA or bank account or whatever other assets you have it, and you have to make sure those assets are removed from your name and put into the trust. Same thing with the house. If you have done the trust planning, depending on which type of a trust you have done it, and right now you are holding the house in your name, you have to get a deed to make sure the house gets transferred into the trust. So those are the bigger mistakes that I see, even those with the people, those who are doing the planning. So make sure you get the trust funded, make sure your beneficiaries are coordinated based on your legal planning. So those are the two big things that I see.
And if you're listening right now, Saket did that with no notes, no book, nothing in his hand, just top of mind, like, let me answer that question for you, Mark. When we come back in a moment here, I'm going to get him to ask us, like, how many times should we review our estate plan? So I'll give him a few seconds to go on that. Meanwhile, everything that you hear discussed during the shows, you can find and read more with Tony, finding these articles and posting at LifePointLaw.com. Just click on the blog, LifePointLaw.com. You can also hit on events. This is where Rajiv has got the retirement planning seminars here, May 13th at 6:30 p.m. at Federal Way. 90 minutes are free to attend. Bring a coworker, your neighbor, somebody in the family. May 15th, he's going to be in Tacoma. That's going to be at 6:30 p.m. On the 17th, that's a Saturday, 11:30, 90 minutes in Bellevue. All of these are great venues, by the way, to hang out. May 20th, you'll be in Olympia. May 21st, he's asked Bremerton, many asking, does he ever come over to the Kitsap Peninsula? There you go. So Bremerton, all can be found right there at events here at LifePointLaw.com. We have more. Just getting started. Phone number 206-421-1000. Again, that's 206-421-1000. Aging Options right here, Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000, 924.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Still looking good on I-5 no matter where you're going right now, with the only exception being just a little bit of traffic through downtown Seattle northbound coming off the I-90 interchange that may cause you to come off the gas, but that's really about it. Heading south of downtown through the South Center interchange, heading to the airport, everything looks good. Through Tacoma and the Central Sound area, you're in good shape in both directions, and from there south toward Olympia and the South Sound, everything's in good shape there, and there's no road work to tell you about at the Nisqually River Bridge this morning. On the ferries, everything for the most part is looking good. However, the Mukilteo-Clinton route is on one-boat service this morning because of a crew shortage, and that means some lengthy wait times on that route. A 2-hour wait is what Washington State Ferries is reporting at both terminals, so be ready for that. If you're taking that boat route, be ready for some lengthy backups to try to get on the boats this morning at either the Mukilteo or the Clinton ferry terminals this morning. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
And a weekend forecast, it'll be cloudy today, a few sun breaks, temperature around 60, much cooler. We'll have clouds tomorrow, slight chance of a shower between the two. That'll be the wet day tomorrow, but the puddles won't be really, really deep. Temperatures will be in the upper 50s. Right now, we're at 52 here at Northwest News Radio. All right, not to rain on your parade and Mother's Day weekend and all, but you know Monday will be here before you know it, and you're like, okay, I got to start all over again here. But wait, there will be that day you've hit the encore of your life known as retirement. Better planning. There's a lot of things nobody has told you about retirement planning. This is the show that's able to tell you some things. Rajiv, again, is recording a new public television special this weekend, so he is away. So we have Saket Sengar with us here, financial expert. Underline everything you want to know, estate planning mistakes. Wanted to ask you here, Saket, how often do you recommend people review their estate plan?
So usually when, so I can tell you about my practice and how I help the client. So when I'm a client whom I'm serving their needs, I usually meet at least once in a year. Every client I will be trying to schedule a annual meeting, that what we call during the end of either November or December, just to want to make sure what plan that we had created for them, we are on the track or not, if we need to make any changes. Like give an example, at the year end, a lot of people have those who are in retirement. Like I said, I work with the client, those who are in their retirement phase. We have to do something called RMDs, the required minimum distribution. So that's one thing that we take a look at it. Other thing is, a lot of times I help clients with IRA to Roth conversion. So those are the things that we take a look at it, and we also review which tax bracket they will be, what their gross income will be for the whole year, if we can do something called tax loss harvesting. So there are various things that we do. And then obviously when I mentioned like the estate planning mistakes, I want to make sure if they have made any changes to their estate planning documents, if their trust needs to be amended, or if they have amended the trust, if that needs to be changed, or we need to fund any of the financial accounts, or if they have changed any beneficiaries, if we need to update the beneficiaries. So it's a maintenance that we do. So at least once in a year, I will definitely call my clients back to the office and make sure everything is in track as I understand it. So that will be my recommendation to everyone, whether you are my client or not. Please make sure that you at least once in a year review your estate planning documents, review your financial planning, make sure they are all talking to each other.
Okay, so that's good to hear. Okay, 206-421-1000. We know you have questions. 206-421-1000. We've been addressing estate planning mistakes. When we come back after the news break, income distribution in retirement. For years, you've heard people talk about the so-called 4% rule. Can you explain it and also explain why it's not necessarily a smart withdrawal strategy? That's going to be a question I have for Saket here when we get back. Everything he talks about here, the income distribution in retirement, we're going to get into gray divorce. Why is there so much divorce here among those in their encore years of life? And then we'll talk seniors in debt. This can all be read more at the blog at lifepointlaw.com. That's where Tony lays up here all the articles and discussions of the topics. Is different every week. There's so much about retirement that we need to know. Also, when you click on events, learn about these seminars, workshops. They're fun to attend. They're free. 90 minutes with Rajiv Nagaich, May 13th, Federal Way. Tacoma, May 15th. The 17th, they'll be in Bellevue. The 20th in Olympia. And then also, he's going to be in Bremerton on May the 21st. Questions answered. You'll take a lot of notes. That I mentioned, they're free to attend. Rajiv just does so much on this here with the radio show as well, with his company, LifePointLaw.com. And again, he's back in New York right now doing that TV show for public television. To show you how busy he is, Alec, I want to bring you on here real quick here because he's got a camera rolling in the studio as well. And what are you filming here? As we got about 30 seconds to share what your business is.
Yeah, if you go over to Aging Options on YouTube, you can see Saket here in the studio and comment your questions, anything you want to do. So if you've ever wondered what Saket looks like when you hear his voice, head on over to YouTube, search Aging Options, and you'll see us live right there on YouTube.
Yeah, see, so there's just all these sources and ways you can learn about retirement. Watch it, listen to it on radio, and, of course, on the website, again, lifepointlaw.com. Again, that's lifepointlaw.com. So much more, and even adding your concerns, questions, and things maybe people haven't told you about retirement. The phone number to call, 206-421-1000. Again, 206-421-1000. We've got a news break. Headlines here from ABC. I'll get you top local stories. More of Aging Options on the way.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Explosions have been heard in two large cities of India-controlled Kashmir hours after the countries agreed to a ceasefire deal, says the Associated Press. The ceasefire was announced online by President Trump. More injuries and deaths of civilians in Gaza reported by local health officials after more Israeli air attacks. They include 3 children and their parents whose tent was bombed. Charity kitchens are virtually the only source of food left in Gaza because of the Israeli blockade. Dozens have shut down as food supplies run out. The U.S. and China today starting trade talks in Geneva, Switzerland. ABC's Selena Wang.
President Trump suggests he could lower his 145% tariffs on Chinese goods. Writing on social media, 80% tariff on China seems right.
Leaders from 4 major European countries putting pressure on Russian President Putin to accept an unconditional 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. This is ABC News.
When you need to know. Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. Now, this hour's top local stories with Mark Christopher.
Once again, it's good to have you with us here. More of Planning a Retirement, Aging Options here just ahead. Stories right now, a teen in custody right now after an assault on school grounds. It happened during the lunch hour on Friday.
Accused of stabbing another person at Kamiak High School in Mukilteo. Officers located that juvenile suspect. The victim was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The teen suspect was booked into the Denny Juvenile Detention Center on assault charges. If you have any information that could help investigators, call Mukilteo Police.
That's Preston Phillips of Como 4. Undercover SWAT operation. Suddenly things go bad in the middle of negotiations. It was in Renton last night near a barber shop. A possible connection to a shooting, in fact, earlier this week, as we hear from Ryan Sims, Como 4, one of the first on the scene to report what all was going on.
From calm to chaos in just seconds, all of it in front of this packed barber shop.
We got the haircut. And we hit the guns like so hard.
This man told Como he heard two loud bangs followed by gunshots. He was inside this barber shop while his wife was in their car right next to the commotion.
I see the shooters. I told my wife, come inside right away, because we don't want to hit it.
Renton police tell Como News the shootings marked the end of an extensive undercover operation. They say they were secretly following the suspect in the shooting from earlier this week, and when that suspect entered this parking lot, SWAT teams swooped in.
They were already in tactical around the vehicle over there, so they already had it pretty much situation controlled.
What wasn't controlled was gunfire coming from the car. SWAT teams returned fire, hitting two people inside that car, while the actual suspect was unhurt.
And I see the start shooting to the person, and we get outside and I see the guy in the floor.
Two of the people shot were taken to the hospital, all as investigators try to determine if these shootings were justified. And as for the suspect that those undercover agents were trying to nab in the first place, well, he was arrested here on the scene.
Drivers on State Route 167 soon experiencing a modernized tolling system as new equipment finally installed along the highway. The Washington State Department of Transportation saying updates include cameras that will read your license plate, pass scanners, and other vehicle detection equipment to manage traffic more efficiently. The new system will allow drivers without a good-to-go account to use the toll road by way of pay by mail, which will involve photographing license plates and mailing bills to the address on the vehicle registration. Yes, you will get it in the mail. You might recall a story a few weeks ago where a lot of the system was not set up and people said they've been driving ever since. Meanwhile, the option will cost $2 more, by the way, than the good-to-go rate. The updated equipment will enable drivers to decide during their journey whether the toll is worth it. But again, 167, the system is ready to go. In sports, 6-3 the final. First game of a series for the weekend here in town between Toronto and the Mariners. Toronto with a win on that last night. Sounders at Houston tonight at 5:30. Tomorrow, Seattle Reign will host Houston here. First kick at 5 p.m. 9:34.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
So far, so good on most of the major roadways around the area. A little bit of heavy traffic northbound on I-5, and now you may tap the brakes as you move through the I-90 interchange heading into downtown, but it shouldn't cost you too much time as you move through the downtown exits. Maybe a little bit of congestion approaching 520 as well. Southbound I-5, maybe a little bit of heavy volume crossing the Ship Canal. Once you get across there, it should be in pretty good shape as you move down toward I-90 and eventually down toward the West Seattle Bridge. Meanwhile, the Ballard Bridge remains closed to traffic through early Monday morning, but it should be back open in time for Monday morning's commute. In the meantime, this weekend, if you need to get across the Ship Canal, the Aurora Bridge is probably your best bet, and depending on where you're going, you might be able to take the Fremont Bridge as well. Not seeing any issues across Lake Washington, both 520 and I-90 running up to speed with no issues to tell you about right now. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
And Shannon O'Donnell, the latest we have in the Como Weather Center for the weekend.
Well, hi there, everybody. The weekend is here, and so is Mother's Day, and so is a cool down. We're going to increase our clouds and decrease our temps today into the low to the mid-60s. Widely scattered showers at times. Not much rain, but a little bit of drippy action here and there. More where that's coming from on Sunday, and in fact, many of us will not make it out of the 50s for highs on Mother's Day. That's a little chilly for this time of year. We have the East Side plant sale happening in Bellevue, and it's time for Beat the Bridge. That's always heart racing and gets you kind of stressed out. That is happening this weekend in the U District, of course. In the Como 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell.
High clouds in Seattle right now, rather filtered sunshine. Current temperature 55 degrees here at Northwest News Radio 97.7. here, by all means, Aging Options, we love them here. 206-421-1000, wherever you're listening here, online at nwnewsradio.com. You got the app. We're here on the radio at 97.7 or AM 1000. 206-421-1000. In moments, we're going to move on to income distribution and retirement. Again, Rajiv Nagaich is back east recording a new special for public television about retirement planning here. So we have Saket here, Sengar here, who's filling in here, all about finances and expertise. You ready to go back to the phone? You got a caller.
Go.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go.
All right, Larry, thanks for holding. Calling from Olympia. You have a question, something about a house deed you want to share and get some thought on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have my daughter. I have one single child, and I have a will, and I've, got all of that taken care of. And I was wondering, since my house is solely in my name, I was wondering whether or not I should put her name on the house now. I'm in my mid-70s. We never know. Actually, I had a brother die about 3 weeks ago, and you never know when it's your turn, right? So, so I just was wondering if that was the right thing to do.
My apologies. My condolences to you, Larry. The question that you're asking, if I have to just answer, you mentioned that you have a will and you have a daughter. Should you put the house or should you add the daughter's name to the deed of the house? That's a little bit legal question, and it's a question for Rajiv. I'm a financial planner. I can give you some generic advice, but please don't take this as a legal advice. And so that will be the first thing. The question becomes is it's a little bit much bigger than, because people, another mistake that I see people making of these financial or legal decision in isolation, they are just looking at a very narrow piece. And if some life situation happens, then it makes a little bit more urgent to take some kind of an action. I will encourage you, because you said you're in your 70s, and it's not about you should be focusing about death issues. You should be focused a little bit more about what if you live till age 90 or 95. And there are much more bigger pieces that you should be worrying about. And just the deed is just one financial or legal is just piece of the whole puzzle. You need to be looking into, if you live a longer life and if you have to deal with some long-term care issues, where will you be living? This is the house that you will be living for the rest of your life? Or what planning that you have done around those things? So that will be one thing that I will be having you focus. Take a look at your healthcare issues. Take a look at your financial issues and what kind of a legal planning that you have done it. So all these things, and making sure in this process you educate your daughter. If there is a situation, if some healthcare episode you have to deal with it, where are you going to get the care for there? Do you have enough money that will help you to pay for these costs on your own? Or if you're not, then what are the other programs that you need to rely on it? So it's a little bit much more comprehensive planning, I will say. So expand your view. I will encourage you to take a look at it and go to some planner or do engage in some planning, which are not just looking at the financial piece of the whole thing. You have to take a look at a housing piece, healthcare piece, long-term care, legal, and in sort of this thing, making sure your daughter is not only educated, but she has a lot of resources, so that if the time comes when you are not able to make a decision on your own, she have the guidance and she is empowered with all the tools and the technology that she needs to make sure your wishes are, she can execute on your wishes in a manner that you want to do that thing. So this is a little bit bigger answer that I'm trying to give, rather than just giving you a narrow answer. Yes, you should add your daughter's name to the house, because there are also some pluses and minuses of those things, because I don't know your not only your financial situation, but I don't know what the situation of your daughter, because if your daughter gets into some sort of a trouble and your house is listed and your daughter's name is listed on the house, so that house can also come into play. So you not only have to protect the assets that you have from your things, long-term care things, but also from anything your daughter gets into trouble. So again, what I'm trying to say to you, this is a much more legal question, but at the same time, when I am as a financial planner helping my clients, I like my clients to view this thing a little bit much more bigger, and how to plan in retirement to make sure that you are not only protected from a financial piece of the things, but all the other things that you are not even thinking about it.
Yeah, and I'll just add here, Larry, and thanks for the phone call on this. Keep in mind, Rajiv Nagaich is going to be right there in your neck of the woods there in Olympia here Tuesday night, May 20th at 6:30 p.m. till 8, 90 minutes. Bring whoever you want from your family, old enough to listen and learn about retirement, age at home without going broke. Learn how with this free seminar, retirement planning. He's going to have it at the Hilton Garden Inn there in Olympia, there in Henderson Park Lane Southeast. And again, it says free parking right here. It's easy to find. Again, that's going to be on Tuesday. It's one of 5 to 6 of the seminars that Rajiv's got set up here. This one in Olympia on Tuesday, May 20th at 6:30 p.m. for 90 minutes. This would be a good question to share with Rajiv there and with guests so they can hear your situation and all that you're going through. And again, thank you for the phone call on that here. And if you want to learn more about these seminars that Rajiv's got set up, again, he's just going all out here for the month of May with seminars in various locations. Federal Way, Bellevue's on the list here in Tacoma. Bremerton, he's coming to see you. Go to lifepointlaw.com. Again, that's a website. Make it a bookmark, make it a favorite. There's just so much between the articles that Tony posts here and connections to all of the experts like Saket here talking about finances that you can get here, and you just feel like you got this background of all the support of all these great resources of people that are just, they're not questioning your retirement plan. They're letting you know there's a lot you haven't been told. So just hang on. We'll give you more chances to call in here, 206-421-1000. Whatever the topic you have, Saket, we'll talk finances, but again, like you just did with our caller there, he can change the subject at any time on the fly and help you get on your way and just get those answers here. At least you found something here that you can rely on every Saturday from 9 to 10. Aging Options continues here. Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000.
Hi, it's Brian Calvert thanking you for listening to Aging Options. For more great options to help guide your future, go to AgingOptions.com. That's AgingOptions.com. And select blogs under the free Learning Center tab. AgingOptions.com.
You know, I'm not a wealthy person, but I'd like to leave a little something to my kids when I'm gone.
Actually, there's someone who gets first shot at your assets when you die, before your kids can even touch them. The tax collector and creditors.
I don't know much about estate and inheritance taxes. I've heard about changes in tax laws, but it's a little complicated, so I just try not to worry about it.
Far too often, the cost of probate and estate taxes forces children to sell off their parents' assets, leaving little for them.
I'd at least like for them to have this house. After all, they grew up here, and we'd like to keep it in the family. They say you can't take it with you. I just didn't realize it was the tax collector who said it.
The elder law attorneys at LifePoint Law understand probate and estate taxes. They know how to protect your assets and your legacy. You can trust LifePoint Law and Rajiv Nagaich. Call 877-ELDER-47. That's 877-ELDER-47.
944.
Traffic on the fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Well, we see it pretty much every week at this time, and we're seeing it again today. Northbound I-5 starting to jam up around the West Seattle Bridge, and that heavy traffic carries with you through the I-90 interchange into the downtown exits. Once you get past there, though, with maybe a little bit of brake tapping around 520 in the Ship Canal Bridge, get across there, you're in good shape heading northbound toward Linwood. Southbound I-5 doesn't look quite as bad, maybe a little bit of brake tapping across the Ship Canal, but otherwise you're in pretty good shape through downtown Seattle and heading south all the way down toward South Center and the airport. Northbound 405 leaving Renton, a little bit crowded as you leave 169 heading up toward Sunset Boulevard. Nothing out of the ordinary there. The rest of the way northbound on 405 doesn't look too bad. Still keeping an eye on these ferry delays. The Mukilteo-Clinton ferry is on one boat service this morning due to a shortage of crew, and Washington State Ferries is reporting a 2-hour wait for vehicle traffic to get on the ferries at either terminal, so take that into account if you're using that ferry this morning. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
And a forecast for Mother's Day weekend, cloudy today here, and sun breaks. Better chance of them today than tomorrow. A high about 61. Some shower activity tomorrow, not for everybody, but enough to keep things even cooler. Upper 50s to low 60s. And we'll also see cloudy conditions, slight chance of showers here for Monday. Current temperature right now at 52. a different vision here. You know, I say pictures speak 1,000 words, but a song like that, just thousands and thousands of thoughts come to mind about retirement. Thank goodness, Aging Options here on your radio, part of our Saturday edition of Northwest Lifestyle Weekend here at Northwest News Radio, 97.7 AM 1000. Rajiv's back east, as I said. Mark Christopher here, producer. He's recording a new special for public television. When he goes back east, you know, that means it's going to be everywhere on the network of public television. So sitting in for the week here, we got Saket Sengar, who is basically financial wizard. Probably hate that word wizard here. Just an expert. He's read, he's studied, he's got clients, he's got stories that can help benefit you because everybody knows no two are alike. Income distribution in retirement. You've planned, you've saved, you finally retired, so now what? How do you start taking advantage of all the retirement funds you set aside? How do you plan for taxes and the hidden costs of retirement? You liked this topic when we saw it on the list from Tony, executive producer. Why?
So, first of all, I'm not a wizard. I just help the clients, and based on helping the clients, I really appreciate the opportunity that I get it. And based on that, I get a lot of knowledge and experience, and then I try to share that wisdom with other clients. So that's one thing. I really like this topic is because, like I said, I help the clients in their retirement phase. And either people are thinking about retirement or going into the retirement. The number one concern is, hey, I've been working for such a long time. I accumulated so much money. I was not worried about it because I was having a paycheck coming in each month to make sure that all my bills are paid. Now I'm retired and I don't have any paycheck coming in. So very first thing I am thinking about how to make sure that I will have a paycheck that will cover my immediate needs. But I also know that I have this amount of money that I have it, and I want to make sure this amount of money lasts for the rest of my life. So we need to do something called income planning. Traditionally, just take a look at, when I take a look at my own parents, my mom and dad, my dad worked for his own life. My mom never worked. She was stay-at-home mom. So when my dad retired, it was very easy. He was a government employee. He had a pension. He had an option. He can take a lump sum or he can take a monthly pension. He chose a monthly pension. The way that calculation works is usually whatever money you have accumulated, you are getting like a 4% on an annual basis. So based on that, the theory is the 4% rule. That's a very traditional way. But just think now, the things have changed now. People are living longer these days. And now both husband and wife are working. So it's just not about the finances of one person who worked. Now there are two incomes in the family, those who have worked. And if you want to add more complexity to the whole thing, there are people, those who are in the second marriage or a subsequent relationship, then you have mixed finances. So that makes it a little bit more complex. So 4% rule is a good start. And the other thing is people are living longer in retirement. So 4% may not go as far as the people are living longer. So you have to adjust. So it's a good start, but I also try to tell people is, don't just rely on 4% rule. Assumption is if you just take 4% of your portfolio will last for the rest of your life. Chances are it's a good start, but you have to review, like we mentioned before, how often do I review these plans with my clients? I like to review these things at the end of the year, every year. So we need to make adjustments if we need to. So that's one thing. The other things are, because like I said, before the life was much easier. Now people have 401ks, they have IRA, they have Roth account. You have to make decisions around Social Security. You have to make decisions around RMD requirements. People have much more bigger goals. They are more charitable. So if you want to make some charitable distribution in your retirement. So all these things make things a little bit more complex. So when it comes to income distribution, you have to see all these things and see how we can make decisions strategically to make sure that your portfolio lasts for the rest of your life. And when you are taking these distributions, whether you are taking it from your 401k or IRA or taxable account or Roth account, which account we should take the income first so that we are paying less in taxes. And we are also anticipating that I know once I turn 73, there is something called RMD, required minimum distribution, and I'm forced to take the money out. And if you're forced to take that money out, that means on top of whatever income you're receiving now, in addition to this distribution from 401k or IRA, that will put you in a higher tax bracket. So these are the things that you need to sit down with some competent, skilled financial planner who can chart this thing out and help you strategically come up with a plan which account you should take the money out from, and making sure that you are not taking more, or at the same time you are not afraid to take enough, so that you should enjoy the life, but at the same time make sure your portfolio lasts for not just 80, 85 years. If you happen to be the one of the freaks who lives till age 100, your money lasts till age 100. So that's how I will say. So I really enjoy how to do the income planning. And then there are various different ways, whether you're investing in fixed income or treasuries or dividend paying stocks, or however you're investing, that's a different story. You need to come up with the formula how much you should take it out without having to fear that you will run out of the money. And then based on your risk appetite and other things, come up with the strategy how you should invest the money, so that you are not only having a good income stream coming, but the income stream is growing also. Because guess what? The longer you live, the living expenses that you're relying on, they are not fixed living expenses. They will be growing. The one big thing people have to worry about, inflation. Inflation will eat into the thing. So you have to make sure that whatever the income that you're drawing from your portfolio is not only growing, but also it's helping with you with the inflation things and any other, like long-term care. Giving an example, because usually people don't deal with the long-term care at the start of the retirement. You are dealing with these long-term care issues at the later part of your retirement. So those things are covered. So that's how I will start.
No, it makes sense too. And again, Rajiv, we always say, he talks about the danger of uncovered healthcare costs. And again, there's Saket reminding you that you keep planning. You don't know when it's your end. You don't know how long you're going to be here, and what happens if you do become one of these people that live to 100, 110, 120. So this is good advice. All right. Another segment still ahead. Still time for a phone call, 206-421-1000. The website, lifepointlaw.com. Have a look here. You're going to love everything you see, including all the seminars he's got planned here. Rajiv coming in May. Free retirement planning. Bring a guest or 90 minutes long. He is all over the Puget Sound.
Traffic on the Fours, sponsored by Northwest Crawl Space Services.
Well, we're now looking at some significant slowdowns northbound on I-5 on the way through the West Seattle Bridge interchange, heading up toward I-90 and into the downtown exits. Once you get past about Seneca Street, things do start to shake loose a little bit, but you will still have some on and off braking on northbound I-5 as far north as the Ship Canal before you really start to shake loose and you're back up to speed moving northbound toward Linwood. Southbound I-5 brakes a little bit crossing the Ship Canal, and you're still in full lanes and maybe coming off the gas anywhere southbound on I-5 through downtown until you get past I-90. 405 north and southbound doesn't look too bad. Maybe a little bit of braking northbound right around Sunset Boulevard. Southbound, maybe a little bit of heavy volume as you approach the interchanges through Bothell, but it doesn't look too bad for this time of the morning. You're also looking at some slowing southbound on I-5 through the JBLM exits heading southbound toward Olympia this morning. Northbound doesn't look too bad. In the Northwest News Radio Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Looking on the forecast, it's going to be cloudy condition here for the weekend here. Some rain tomorrow, drier today if that helps in your planning with mom, whatever she wants to do. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, overnight lows, upper 40s actually, like about 47 to about 49 degrees here, so a little bit of a chill. Right now we got 52 here in Seattle. All right, it goes so quick here when it comes to Aging Options and this radio program each and every week. And Saket has been sitting in here today. Saket Sengar, who's all about finances. I want to make sure we have time here. Tell us how to get a hold of you. How do we find you?
Audience can give me a call on my direct line. That's number is 206-234-7516. 206-234-7516. Or you can visit my website. That's Better Financial Services. The website is type in www.go2bfs.com. It's Better Financial Services.
Okay, 1 minute to go here. Can we retire this year and be okay?
Yes.
With everything going on?
Yes.
Okay, we'll add to yes. And you've got a big smile like,
yes.
You keep saying no fear, no worry, all this stuff going on. The first call we had, worried about Social Security running out. What do I do? I'm trapped. Add to the yes just a line of comfort here, and you got about 30 seconds.
I'm a very optimistic person. If you are thinking of retirement, the very first step I will say, start with a financial plan. Don't worry about the income. Don't worry about the portfolio and everything. Just get a plan starting. Like if you're thinking of building a house, go to an architect, get a plan draws, and then you will think about how to build the plan. So same thing, build the house. So same thing with the financial plan. Get a financial plan first, and then we will worry about rest of the other things.
There you go. That simple. Hey, my friend, nice job.
Thank you.
Come back and see us again here. The fun of Aging Options every week. The website, lifepointlaw.com. Everything we discussed, check on the blog for the articles. Look at those seminars coming up here this month here, lifepointlaw.com.
The preceding program was paid for by LifePoint Law and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Radio management or staff.
Hi, this is Brian Calvert letting you know the best way to learn about aging options is to go to a seminar. Go to lifepointlaw.com and select upcoming events for a seminar near you. That's lifepointlaw.com.